All right, good morning, everyone, and we are back after our church this morning. We are back on as we start our English level 2 for the deaf. Our class every Sunday morning right after church. We are teaching the deaf English, and this is level 2. So welcome all those who are online. We have persons online and we have persons face to face. There's a few that can we accommodate at our center. So as you see on the board, and you will make sure you write what is on the screen, the date, and our topic today. We are doing focusing on the apostrophe. Last week when we were doing the pronoun there, THEIR, and we were relating it to plural owners, people more than one owning certain things. Some persons indicated that they never did that in school before. And my intention and my focus is to fill the gaps of your learning English. So I decided to do this topic today so that more of you all will understand when we are doing more possessive pronouns, and that is one of the topics that needs to be covered. So we'll just look at that. So let's move on to our next slide. So in terms of the apostrophe, before even we focus on the apostrophe, we need to look at some vocabulary words related to this. So I'm writing some vocabulary words that means, vocabulary words that have the meaning to what we are going to be learning today. Right? So there are certain words that you need to know as deaf person, or even when being taught in the primary school, and we are looking at this topic. There are certain words you must know when you are using this apostrophe so that you can apply it in sentences. So we are going to be focusing on these vocabulary words so that when we are demonstrating, it will be easy for you to understand. Okay? All right, so the first word that we're looking at when we looking at and it's in terms of things that belong to someone, we're looking at the first word, which is the word belong. So when you see this word belong, that means something belong to me, that I own it, belong. And we look at the word in terms of own. So when we were looking at synonyms, those who were in the level 1 class, and even those at level 2, where we looked at synonyms, words meaning the same thing. So belong or own, something belong to you, you own it. So we have belong, own. Next word we have belonging. And this word belonging comes from the word belong. You use it differently, and we will do that in another lesson in terms of how to use these words that have similar parts in it, and it's like a root word. This word belong is in the word belonging. Belonging, and we're looking at words similar in meaning, ownership. Similar. And I know that you are learning some new signs this morning in terms of this topic. So if you look at the words that I'm underlining, you see that I'm underlining the root word in the words. They call it root words, right? I call it root words, but the meaning of the words are the same. The meaning of these words are the same, What is different is it is a different word, and as I said to you before, it's a word that have the same meaning. I call the word a synonym. Okay, so we have own, owner, ownership, and from this on this side we have, and you all will be familiar, I'm sure. Okay, same meaning. So let me write the word synonym here. I'm going to write it in a different color so that I just want to make sure you can see it. So synonym, and the meaning for synonym, same meaning. Words that have the same meaning. Words that have the same meaning. So I'm going to continue writing some words. We have, because I will be using these words, we have owner. Owner is a person who owns something. And you'll see in the word owner, the word own, and underlining the words, the word that is inside of it. And then we have the word owe. When you say somebody owe me something, that means they have something for me that belongs to me. You owe me $10. That means you have my $10. Owe. So you have different words. And then the last word I'm going to write is the word own. Okay. Oh, sorry. So we have that at the top. All right. So this is some vocabulary words that we need to know when we're looking at the apostrophe, because it relates to things that belongs to someone, own or owned by someone, belonging to someone or something, or ownership. And the person or thing that is owned is called the owner. So let's do more in terms of explanation to these things. So we're looking at, I'm just drawing a line in the middle here. We're looking at the owner, and then we're looking at what is owned. So we're just looking at these things here so that we can have an idea what we're talking about. So if I have the owner of something is a boy, what the boy owns, what belongs to him, is a book. And I'm just putting slash belong. So I'm using that word, belong or own. So the boy owns a book. Another thing, we have a cat. This is an animal. What the cat will have or own? The cat will own a tail. An owner again, we may have a mother. And the mother may own a baby. That is her baby. And we can have things, owning things also. So we have a church, like today we have had the church. The church will have a pastor. That pastor belong to that church there. He's responsible. He that related to that church. And I'm putting the last one. Let's look at A tree. What will a tree own? A tree will own roots. So we have the owner, and if you look at the owner, could be a person, it could be an animal, it could be a thing. So an owner don't need to necessarily be a person. Or when we do the sign for owner, the end of the sign show that it is a person, but an owner don't need to be a person. Okay, so our owner could be yes, a person, but it could also be an animal like a cat. It could be something like a church. Right? So this is in terms of the owner. But when we're using these words, when we're looking at sentences, and you will notice that all these words here, whether it is the owner or what is owned, all of those are nouns. Okay, and you look at the owner, and the focus is on the owner here. The owners, all the owners here in this group of from 1 to 5, they are one boy, one cat, one mother, one church, one tree. And as we say, this is singular. One, singular. So all the owners are singular. All of them. All the owners are singular. And we have to look at this when we are using the apostrophe. When we are using, we're going to be using the apostrophe to show ownership. We are using the apostrophe to show ownership. So this is where we're looking at using it now. So I want to show ownership with the apostrophe. And the sign for the apostrophe, which we showed last week, is a little, so I'm going to look at the apostrophe. The apostrophe is a punctuation mark, like the full stop and the comma. The apostrophe is a punctuation mark, and you know in sign language there is no apostrophe. When we are signing, we don't use full stop and comma and so. This is English. We use apostrophe when we write in English, not really talking, but when we write it. This is for writing, right? So the apostrophe, say you are writing a word, and I'm doing an example. So the first example here, I have the owner as a boy. So I have, let me just write it in a different color. Right, so I have boy. If I'm showing ownership using the apostrophe, my apostrophe will go on top here. It's like a comma, but it's up in the air. And let me just move it a little bit. Let me fix it a little bit. Shucks. Right, so I'm putting it again. I just want to make it a little closer to the boys. It is like a comma, but it's up in the air. Right? So I put that apostrophe. But because but I need to show that this boy owns something, right? But because it is one boy, I don't leave the apostrophe by itself. I need to add something else. And that something else that I add is an S. I add an S because it is one. So I'm saying I use apostrophe and an S to show that this boy, something belongs to him. And what belongs to the boy is a book. Right? And you know, as we use it with the before, so I put the boy's book. This is not a sentence. This is just a beginning of a sentence. We haven't finished. The boy's book. This is showing that the book belongs and we use the word belong. The book belongs, excuse me, let me make sure I can get my word, belongs to the boy. All right, so let me go to another page and I'll write over the same thing. Okay, so just excuse me for a little bit. So let's add in another screen. All right, so we have the apostrophe. And we're looking at our example. So we have the boy, and we're showing ownership as I put the apostrophe up in the air. But as I said to you, we also add an S. We have the apostrophe, but we add an S and we put book. The boy's book. We can write this by saying also the book belongs to the boy. This is a long way of writing the same way, same thing. All right, so the short A is, yeah, the A is, no, it's not short, long. There's two ways of writing it. Yes, it's this, right. So both of them mean the same thing. The boy's book means the same as the book belongs to the boy. And as you notice, we have boy, and we have the book. The same words, the owner and what is owned. So the short ways of writing this long sentence, as Kenton said a little while ago in the class, the long way is saying the book belongs to the boy. The shorter way, when we use the apostrophe, it makes it shorter for us to write. So the boy's book is shorter. Now this A is not a sentence. A is not a sentence, right? Because every sentence must have a verb. So it did not, we have not finished this sentence at all. This B is a sentence because belongs is a verb, right? So this B is a complete sentence, but not A. So I might say the boy's book. I will continue writing and say the boy's book is read. I'm just talking about that. That is where the sentence ends. But I'm starting the sentence with the boy's book. Okay? Everybody with me? And now we are going to do a little practice. All right, so in the second sentence, B, if I finish this sentence here, right, but I was just explaining the boy's book. In terms of B, the book belongs to the boy, right? But I complete my sentence if I need to complete my sentence with this, right? So let us just go back and look at what we had. Right, so we had the owner, as I said, we have the owner, right, which is the boy, cat, mother, church, and tree. We had the owners, all the owners, and then we have the thing that is owned. And we want to show this in the short way, that is this way that we have here. We want to show it we want to do it the short way. in terms of to prepare ourselves to write a sentence. So let's go. So we're going with the cat now. Those people who, let me just add a thing. So let's do some practice. So we're continuing, and the next one after the boy was the cat. So we have, so I have the cat, and we said what the cat owns was a tail. But to show that, we have to do something. What are we going to do? So the practice is you need to show ownership. And I'm using back the vocabulary word that we had a little while ago. Show ownership. And how do you show ownership? Using the apostrophe. So I'm going to do the first example as I did the one before. To show that this cat owns this tail, I must put the apostrophe. And what way it is? But I cannot just put the apostrophe alone. I must put an S. Why am I putting the S? Because it is singular. It's one cat. It is one cat. We have some exception to the rule, but I'm going to do that in a separate lesson. All right? So the cats, I put in an S, tail. The cat's tail. To show that the tail belongs to the cat. So I want you to try on your own and see if you can do this, or if you can do the others on your own. So I'm just going back. Those people are just trying to remember my listing. I have mother, church, tree. So I'm putting mother, and we said the mother owns a baby. So I'm putting baby. Then I had church, and I talk about pastor. Then I had tree. I'm putting the tree, and I should put it the church. Yeah? I'm just change it to the church instead of putting church. If I want to get my sentence afterwards. So the church. Somehow my color change. The tree. I didn't put the tree. I put tree. But what is owned by the tree? Roots. As I told you, this is not a complete sentence. This is just to begin your sentence. Okay? Huh? Oh, stop. Thank you. Get back my color. Right. So we want to show ownership. Remember the owner. Who is the owner is the one that we use the apostrophe with. These are the owners. All of these are the owners. These are the owners. And what do they own? These are the things that they own. These are the things that they own. Look at the word order. The owner comes first. The owner, example, the cat, the owner, we write the owner first, and then what is owned second. The owner is written first. So I'm putting that little key. Right? So this is this color, red, is the owner. That comes first. You write that first in your sentence. I'm just writing, I just want to put owner on top, right? So the owner, you write the owner. All right. So you have the owner here, which is red. And then what is own? And this is very important for deaf person, because word order is something that they always I know you all always have a challenge with when you're writing English. So the owner is first. After you write the owner, then you put what is own. Right? Cat's tail. Mother. And you all will help me to say it right by putting the what to show ownership. Mother and then baby, because the mother owns the baby. And it's what you want to write. What is your idea that you have in your head that you want to say? Because I could switch this around. I could switch the owner and what is owner. I could switch it around, right? But we need to know what we want to say. And how, same thing like when we are signing, we sign exactly what we want to tell the person. But in English, there are certain rules you need to follow in order for you to say the right thing or write the right thing. So when you are writing your sentences, whether you are doing an exam or something, or you're writing something to tell someone who cannot sign, they don't know sign language, so you have to write for them what you want to tell them. That is how the deaf persons have to deal with the hearing public at times. You have to have your notebook in your bag, in your pocket. So the person you meet who you want to tell something to, you write it in a book, but you must write clearly so that they will understand. They don't know sign language. And if you write it in the wrong way, they will think either they'll misinterpret what you want to tell them, or they might may want to laugh and say, but you're right, what is this? I could understand this, right? So we don't want the deaf person to have to be in that kind of situation, because you need to write whether you go to the bank, or you go to a doctor, or you go to the social welfare office, or you go somewhere where you need to communicate in English. Right? Because most people you meet, the average person really don't know sign language. You can't expect everybody to learn sign language. Although it is good that we learn as hearing persons, you as a deaf person must know English so that you can be independent. You will not be dependent on an interpreter to help you all the time. You will be independent, so you can communicate in English by writing. Okay? So today I want to say thanks again for today. I did not give a homework. Oh, my corrections. Sorry about that. Let's correct what we have on the board. So the people who are online and people who are face to face, let me see if I can see those who are on Zoom. I have Donna, and I have somebody else. I'm not seeing that person's face, and I'm sure people on YouTube and so on, and Facebook and so. But I could only deal with those who are on Zoom and on physical with me. So Donna, what is number 2? Mother, baby. What am I going to put to show ownership? Let me see if I can get a response from Donna. How am I showing ownership for mother? Okay. Where am I showing? Oh, all right, you show the apostrophe. All right, so she told me to put A here. All right, so I can put A, mother. All right, but I'll have to change that capital letter for mother. So, but I'm putting the apostrophe. So I'm going to All right, so I'm going to put the apostrophe after mother, and then I'm going to put my S to show that the baby belongs to mother. So we have, right, so we have Canton, who is, I don't know who is Fire Tablet. I have Fire Tablets on my Zoom, but I don't know who is that person, so I cannot really answer. So Canton, and I have Dave here. So Canton, how do I show that this church, this pastor belong to this church? Right. Right. So I put in the apostrophe after church, and then I put the S. Very good. So Dave, what do I do to show that the roots belong to this tree? Right. Very good. So I put the apostrophe after tree, and then I put my S. Good. So when you see this, when you are reading, whether you're reading your Bible or you're reading anything, newspaper, whatever, and you're seeing this apostrophe after a noun in a sentence, you look right after the word and you see something that it belongs to. So you are better able to read and understand that. Right? So in our next class, what we will be looking at, we are going to be looking at the plural, and we're going to compare plural where the owner is more than one owners, and we're going to compare it with the singular owner. And what do you do in terms of showing ownership, singular, plural? We're going to compare it. Right? Huh? Okay. Someone?
Whose name and with S? Remember the apostrophe is from after.
We'll do the exception. That's exception. Yeah. Right. And then after we do that, we're going to look at the exception to the rules, because there are some nouns that ends with S, and not only ends with S. As we look at that, we look at this because you are not hearing, you may not be able to understand this, but I'm going to try my best to explain it when we do it. Some sounds that when you write a word, sometimes the sound that you get at the end of the word is a S sound. So sometimes some word ends with a S, and the word that ends with a S, like the word bus, it ends with an S. So when on a bus, one bus is a singular, but we cannot follow this rule, and we are going to do the exception. And sometimes even a plural noun may not end with S, like children. Children is more than one, but it does not end with S. So we're going to be also looking at exceptions to the rules, so that you will be well able to understand what to do. All right, so we have all of that to do, but for our next class, we're going to just looking at the basic, so that we'll build on that foundation. So for home lesson, and I'll just give it that quickly. Right? So for home lesson, what I want you to do, I want you to do the same thing I did with it there. Now, what I want you to do also, and I'm reminding you, those people who are online, especially, send your home lesson to me, please. I need to see it. I need to see where you are going. So take a picture of your work when you do your homework and send it for me, all right, personally, and I will correct it and send it back to you. So we will be able to know where we're going, if you are understanding me or not, and where I am going. This is how I'm able to teach you good, by communicating with me and I getting that feedback. So you're going to find, let me get a different color, find sentences using the apostrophe. So you're going to do a sentence search. Now, as I said to you, look on the internet. So you find it on the internet, okay? So search the internet. Right, so I want about 5 sentences. And we're looking at, well, it doesn't matter whether it is singular or plural, just fine and for me, right? Doesn't matter if the sentence is, if the noun, the owner is singular or plural. Just find 5 sentences. That is all I want to get. 5 sentences from you. Whether it is singular owner, plural owner, whatever. Just, all right, 5. Okay, so again, I want to say goodbye. Thanks for being with us today. And I hope you learned something new and or review something that you may have learned before and you learn it even better. Okay. All right. So continue reading, continue gaining experience and understanding English through reading, because that is what you have to do. You have to read. Do a lot of reading, okay, as best as you can. All right. So bye-bye and until next Sunday, please God.